I'm not really a rant kind of person, but today it's a little different. Let's talk about it. Well, as you may know, if you've been following any of my updates, I've been working this winter on 87 original T-top 5.0 5-speed car and placing the headliner because it was starting to sag. So I bought a whole new weather strip kit because as you take out your headliner, the way these are made, there wasn't really a good way to do it and not to disturb the weather stripping anyway. And I started test fitting my new weather strip kit. I bought the whole kit for all the pieces, and that was like 200 bucks, I think, or right around there. And I started on the passenger side, started test fitting the big piece, and I'm gonna flip the camera around here. So let's start with the main weather stripping pieces. So this is the long part that, you know, goes all the way around the door opening and the T-top glass opening. And so it'll start down here at the beginning of the A-pillar, go all the way up, curve around through the T-top channel, and then all the way down the back side of the door opening and stop at the top of the door. So you get two of those in the big kit that I bought, or you can buy them individually. I started running this 1/2-inch diameter foam tube, following the directions, and you feed it up through this opening because this is hollow inside, and you feed it, actually you feed it from, I think, this direction from the bottom. You put a wire through, tape it to your filler, lube this up inside with some spray lube, and then you pull it through up to the top and cut it off. You get enough of the foam tubing in your kit to do the full length of the front piece that goes on your A-pillar, and then you get enough to cut some smaller pieces that you add extra up into the corners to help fill the corners out in here, because where the door window shuts, those are usually the areas that you have gaps. It does not give you enough to also run all the way from top to bottom in the B-pillar side that goes here at the end of the door. So I found on Amazon I could buy some of that. I got a big box full of this stuff. Wasn't that expensive. And in case I needed to run more through around the whole part of the window. So as I was feeding it through, that worked fine, but then you also put a couple more smaller, like 2-inch pieces up in this corner to really help puff it out so you'll have a good seal. And as I was putting that in, those extra pieces, I ripped out this channel here. I've thrown my first piece away, so I ripped it out even more than what this one shows. But at the time, I thought it was my fault. I must have just tried to open the spot up too big and put it in there too quick and ripped it out. I don't think it was really my fault anymore. Once I get to that point, you'll understand why. But you can see there's a line right here all the way around. That's a parting line of how they molded this stuff in a tool. And it ripped right along that line, basically, on one end of it. So I threw that piece away and I bought another piece of, remember, LMR doesn't make this stuff. They get it from their supplier and sell it. So this is all Daniel Carpenter material, and I know for the most part, a lot of their products are come off of original Ford tooling that they were able to get at some point after the cars went out of production, that is. So I ordered a new piece as like $56 or $58, and I got it in, and what had happened on that piece was similar to this, but worse. You had gouges and divots and flashing, just rough, and you could just tell it did not look very good. And those corners are the pieces that show up on your car when your T-tops are out, and when you're just, you know, showing it, driving it, whatever. That's the piece you're going to see the most because it sticks out somewhat into this opening. And so I was pretty unhappy about that. I called them and they were happy enough to send me out. That third piece showed up. I started prepping it. You know, it comes with a bunch of powdery white stuff all over it. It's the mold release of how, you know, Daniel Carpenter would get it out of the mold so it doesn't tear it up right after it's been molded and it's still warm. So that mold release helps get it out. But you got to clean all that up real good so that when you go to put it in your car and you use your weather strip adhesive, it will stick real well. That mold release, you don't want it on there. And it just looks like crap too because it's white powdery residue all over. So I cleaned it all up again for the third time, got my tubing ran down through, and started dry fitting it into the opening, because you got to really mess with it and get it adjusted just right for where you want that corner piece to line up with where your T-top is going to come in. And as I was doing that, just kind of getting it up to the general area and trying to figure out where I wanted to get it to sit, I noticed that it had this on the B pillar. This is the third piece here. It again has this mold, this parting line for the mold, and it was starting to have these little holes in it that was all the way through. And I started looking at it and messing with it to see just what was going on, and it just, I mean, peeled right apart. You can see that that's not been cut. That's not a smooth cut from like a razor blade or anything. That is a kind of a textured surface where it just pulled apart, and it's about ready to come apart even more, but it come all the way about around the back without me even trying to put any of the foam tubing in it yet. So of course that's a Sunday. I had to wait till Monday, and then I was busy. So Tuesday again, I call LMR, explain it, send some more pictures. And this time, instead of it being the appearance and the porosity and divots and flash, it was, you know, it ripped apart. They'd send out a fourth piece, two I bought, two that they gave me. And I asked if they could at least look at the stuff before they sent it and open the bags, because my fear was I'm going to get the same exact thing. They make all this in one run, and then it doesn't necessarily sell that fast, because how many people are looking for 87, 88 specific T-top weather strip trim, right? There's not a lot of us out there that have these cars to begin with, let alone going and replacing them, because these are specific to those 2 years for the length of the weather stripping. So they probably made a bunch up years ago, and just that's the last time they've ran it. And then here's the most recent bag I got, and I'm pretty sure that right there is telling me this was made in July of 2022. Yeah, July 25th, 2022 is probably the production date. And again, it says made in China, so I don't know if this even was really original Ford tooling at this point or not. A lot of their stuff is, and that's great. Maybe these aren't, I don't know. Anyway, so now I'm on to my fourth piece, and let me pull it up. And here's now my fourth piece. You can see there's my parting line that ripped out before. This is the B pillar by the back of the door window, and it is very thin. There's a little divot there. It's not a hole yet. It's not going through, but it probably will real easily. So I doubt I'm even going to be able to put much pressure on this and feed anything back through here to fill it out. I'm going to have to be very careful. I have tried looking for other manufacturers of this, even cheaper no names. I have not found anything yet. If anybody knows something that's not Daniel Carpenter, put a comment down. I'd appreciate it, because I've checked, you know, LMR, CJ Pony, American Muscle, NPD, Amazon, eBay, and everything says it's Daniel Carpenter. So again, I'm not bashing them as a company. They got great stuff, but I don't want the same weather stripping from possibly the same lot or from the same tool, knowing that this is maybe what I'm getting. My gut feeling is it probably is original tooling, and that at this point is not any longer necessarily a good thing. Back when Foxbodies, kind of went out of production, even 10 years later into '03, early 2000s, you would want to promote that you had original Ford tooling, because you knew you were likely going to get some really good fitting parts. But that at this point is probably a bad thing, because those tools are so old and they've been ran so many times, and if they're not maintained, this is what you're going to get, is parts that don't fit that well anymore. So I haven't really messed with this fourth piece too much yet. I'm trying to not mess with it until I'm ready to put it in, because I don't want to disturb it any more than I have to. If I can get it in without ripping it, I think it'll be fine. It's not like it goes through a ton of abuse when it just sits here on the corner of your T-top, because where the T-top interacts with it isn't really gonna, I think, mess with that parting line that's down here further. So we'll see. So that's rant number one, is you got to really be patient. I'm glad I made this a winter project instead of something, during driving season. I'm here in Indiana, so I get several months to work on these things and not be worried about how long it's going to be torn apart or not be drivable, because from December, January, February at least, there's no way we're going to be wanting to drive these things, at least not me anyway. So I've had plenty of time. It is now almost the end of February. Today's the 25th, and I started tearing this apart to work on this project back in early December. So I did not expect it to take this long, because of just ordering parts, waiting a couple more days, have a problem, wait a couple more days, get some more parts. It adds up. Now, LMR's done great. When I call them, I basically have the new package 2 days later. So they go out of their way to get me my parts. But still, it's just more downtime, because I only have weekends really to work on this stuff. And when I have a problem, then I'm just stalled out again until the next weekend. So rant number one is the main weather stripping and the quality of it that we're getting these days. These days, everything costs more. Everything seems to have much worse quality. Cutting corners wherever people can. And it's, got all the way now to just replacement parts for vintage cars. I mean, it's just everything. And I don't know what we can do about it. It's not like there's a lot of other options. It come down sometimes to just luck of ordering the same parts over and over and hope that you get something good. And in a lot of cases, it's getting something and then putting a lot of time and effort into it yourself to make it work, and to make it work the way you want it and the way it should. Whether it's fit, finish, functionality, you name it, it takes a lot of extra work from us to get it done. Previous video I think put out a week ago, talking about the cowl trim that I bought to replace my old stuff up by the hood and windshield, and the steering column shroud that I replaced. Again, every one of those brand new parts out of the box. Took quite a bit of time for me to make them fit and look the way I wanted them to. They weren't perfect, and I have a feeling I've got a lot more of that to do before this project gets wrapped up. So that's all for now. If you stuck around this long, hopefully you don't have as many problems that I have had, but if you do, leave a comment, tell us what you did, how you fixed it, or what brands you found that were better than others, if you had an option. So thanks all, and have a good rest of your weekend.